We are so excited to share with you how to grout your brick floor. It is actually a relatively simple process. As you will see in the video, even our kids were able to help us accomplish this. Before you can begin to grout, you obviously have to have already installed your brick. If you have any questions about installing your brick floor, we'll post a separate tutorial for that. For our floor, we chose to go with Cherokee brick thin bricks, and we went with their magnolia pattern. To install grout, you will need the following supplies. First of all, you're going to want a grout bag. This will allow you to pipe the grout into the joints. You'll also need grout. For this project, you're going to want to use sanded grout in a color that matches your brick. We went with alabaster for ours. You'll also need to have at least one good clean sponge on hand. You also need to have 3 buckets. 2 of these need to be filled with fresh water. You also need a paddle attachment on your drill. This will allow you to thoroughly mix your grout and water. One other little pro tip is to keep vinegar on hand. This is the one product I have found that thoroughly rinses any remaining grout residue off of my hands when I'm finished. After you have gathered all of your supplies and are ready to begin, go ahead and begin pouring some of that grout mix into your empty bucket. Next, you're going to want to add enough water that you can begin mixing. While there aren't exact measurements I can give you, what you're looking for is the consistency of a frosting. Remember, we are using a grout bag, so you don't want it so wet that it's just sliding right out of the bag all over the place. However, you also don't want it so thick that you're having to work really hard to squeeze it out. So just mix back and forth between the powder and the water until you are comfortable with the consistency. And remember, just keep in mind you're looking for something similar to frosting. Once your grout has reached the correct consistency, you're going to want to add it to your grout bag. If you're working with someone, they're going to want to fold over the tip of the grout bag so that you can pour in all the grout. When I was doing it by myself, a very pro tip was I took a ponytail holder, and once I folded over the tip of the grout bag, I wrapped my ponytail holder around it so that way it would stay nice and tight while I added the grout to the bag myself. So probably not the most professional way to do it, but it worked. Once you're done pouring the grout, as you can see me do here in the background, grab a wet sponge and just wipe the lip of that grout bucket so that it doesn't dry out on you. Now you're ready to start putting grout into your joints. Make sure you thoroughly fill each joint. You can always wipe off the excess later, but you have to make sure your joint is thoroughly filled. So make sure that it comes up above the brick lines on every single joint to ensure it is thoroughly filled. Continue to fill grout lines until your bag of grout is completely empty. Now it's time to get out that extra bucket of water and your sponge. It's time to smooth out your joints. Wring out your sponge, but leave a little bit of water in it depending on how dry your grout is. Take your wet sponge and begin to quickly wipe down your joints, smearing the excess onto the face of the brick. Once your grout joints are nice and smooth, it is now time to begin removing the excess grout from the faces of the brick. How much grout you leave on the bricks is completely dependent upon the look you're going for. If you're going for more of a German schmear type look, you'll want to leave them pretty heavily coated. However, if you want a nice clean look where the face of the brick shines through more, you'll want to wipe it off pretty well. When you feel like you've removed enough excess grout, the best way to get a final clean look is to thoroughly rinse your sponge in your bucket of water, wipe it several times on one side, flip it, wipe it a couple times on the other side, rinse it off thoroughly in the bucket of water again, and repeat. This will give you that nice, clean look. If you feel like you accidentally over-wiped some bricks and they are darker than the ones around them, as you can see in this video, go ahead and start wiping a new section. Once your sponge is thoroughly coated in grout, bring it back over to the darker section and just do a quick skim coat over it. This will help those bricks blend in with everything around it. This is a great family project. As you can see, we managed to get all of the kids involved in helping to grout our laundry room floor. They actually really enjoyed the process. The great part is there are so many tasks they could help with without any fear of them messing anything up. Definitely a fun time for the whole family. Using the techniques we just used, continue grouting the rest of your floor. Make sure to only mix up a small amount of grout at a time, that way your grout does not dry too quickly. Use your sponge to clean off the brick faces to create the look that you want.